Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Secret Origins of Mint Condition. I am one of your hosts, James, and we're back on the Monitor's satellite space station as we dive back into the multiversal crisis on Infinite Earths. And joining me, having been saved from Earth 1 or 2, is Joe.
Hey, Crisis fans, how you doing?
And of course, also joining us, saved also by Harbinger, is Keith.
Hey James, hey Joe. I didn't know we were meeting on the satellite. Now I got to look over my shoulder for Harbinger to come in. I'm a little
Yeah,
nervous.
God forbid pariah.
Yeah.
Well, we're all hanging out when we get to that massive George Perez splash page that shows every character that's on the satellite, which you need a magnifying glass, I guess, to point out every character
Incredible.
that he fit in
Absolutely
there.
incredible.
George Perez is amazing.
Only
Yes.
Was
person who could
amazing.
ever do something like that.
Well, Joe, you collected this in real time. These books came out on time, right?
Yes, they did. We talked about this on the first episode. They came out on time from, I think, August to August, was it? But yes, they did. And I tell you, I read the issue 12 on the subway on the way home from work because I just had to finish it. I picked it up that afternoon at probably Forbidden Planet Comics on 12th and Broadway. And I had to read it. I had to find out how it ended.
Yeah.
I could have been attacked in the subway. I could have been mugged, shot, God knows what. But I had my face in that book, and nothing was gonna deter me from finishing that book.
Yeah, to see the future of the DC universe unfold
Yes.
before your eyes.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah.
well, audience, this is a spoiler episode. If you didn't know from our first
Oh,
part of the
yeah.
Crisis saga, we're going to be talking about all the things that interest us in the highlights. So, if you're listening to this, we are focusing on issues 4, 5, and 6.
Mhm.
So, hopefully, you will have read that. If not, maybe you're using this to entice you to go back and read it or help you navigate as you're reading it. But let's dive into it. Let's dive into issue 4, which the cover gives away what's happening by the end of the book with the death of the Monitor. But before we get to that part, I thought this whole scene with Supergirl and Batgirl was very interesting and very the inner monologue of Batgirl is
Yeah, Barbara Gordon is really shaken to the core here, right? Which is understandable because I mean, all of existence is disappearing. So if the heroes can be shaken this way, can you imagine what the regular folk are thinking as everything comes to a seeming
I
end?
forgot all about that scene.
It
Honestly,
too.
it was really interesting. I mean, beautifully drawn, but
Oh yeah.
just seeing Barbara's insecurity about her being up to the task of being a hero, and seeing Kara just selflessly go right to save someone, which obviously we know she is a great hero, and what happens to her later. But it was really probably my favorite part of the issue. I did think it was funny after such a serious conversation, though, that when she's about to go say someone, she feels the need to say, "This looks like a job for Supergirl."
Yeah,
I don't
well,
know. There's something out of it a little bit of. I mean, it was fine. I love it, but I was like, you know,
I'm sure
crisis of
they discussed that. And said, I'll put it in.
yeah.
Um, in this period leading up to this book, Supergirl and Barbara Gordon were best friends, and they had, as a matter of fact, if you go back in time to, oh boy, I hope I can do this right now, Adventure Comics 381. It was the first issue, 1969. It was the first 15-cent issue of DC Comics that month, and all of a sudden the Legion was gone. They weren't in Adventure Comics anymore, and they had given it to Supergirl, and who's our guest star in that issue, Batgirl. So Barbara Gordon. That's why they really cemented their friendship.
Yeah.
About 15 years prior to this story happening, and they numerous times they would go up against Superman and Batman, sometimes being played and by Mixelplick or Luther or the Joker or something like that. But they were the world's finest team. I don't want to say B team, but they were another world's finest team. Yeah, Supergirl and Batgirl.
Yeah.
Kara's secret identity. Her name was Linda Lee at this point.
No, she was Linda Lee Danvers. She had already been adopted by the Danvers, and she had graduated Stanhope College. And by 1985, wow, I don't know if she was working in film at this time or teaching at the Athens New School of something or other. But I think might have been a teacher at this point. Yeah, but she was an adult at this point, as was Barbara. They were not teenagers anymore. No.
Yeah, I like the friendship they depicted there. I
too.
obviously, this is the first time I'm really reading it because I don't know modern age Supergirl and Batgirl don't really have any friendship, so that I'm aware of. So it was nice to get a little window into that in this issue.
Right? Yeah, very much.
Even
so.
now, right? I mean, I don't really recall them too much together.
Only in Mark Waid's World's Finest book, which takes place about 10 years in the past, right? They've come across each other a couple of times there. Mostly Robin and Supergirl, actually, which is, I think
it's like an odd thing, right? This feels like something that should be natural, and
right?
Yeah. You think Batgirl and Supergirl should be hanging out, but yeah, in my modern time reading comic books, this is like the first time I like kind of hit upon it that the two of them were friends. In fact, I was reading this. I'm like, oh, I guess it makes sense. They're both reflecting on the end of the world. But like Joe, you're giving the context that this was their relationship all along, at least at this time.
Oh yeah. No, they had a relationship for a long time before this happened. Yeah.
That's like my favorite Batgirl costume. I love that suit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's the classic suit.
Totally, that's so good. And even for Supergirl, I'm a big fan of that look for her.
Oh, the headband, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe because that's why I first experienced. I don't know. I love it. To me, that's Supergirl to me.
Yeah, she had that headband. I think when the movie came out a year prior, and everybody was like PO'd that Helen Slater was wearing the headband.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we wanted to see that. Oh, there's the headband. Come on.
I gotta tell you, this issue was really good, though. I forgot how much I enjoyed issue 4 because there's so many, really good issues and pivotal issues. But I feel like it's kind of where you really the most monitor centric, where you kind of feel like more like he's actually a character and not just a plot device. It's it was very good. Apparently the players, I wish they would have named them different characters. Pariah, Monitor, Harbinger.
A little on the nose, right? Yeah.
As a little kid, though, I had no idea. I was like, "This is great."
Yeah, I mean, those are the names we got now. Those are the names we got. They stuck. They were like, if they were placeholders, they were like, it's good enough. We'll keep going with it.
Yeah.
But
on a side note, I'm not sure if you guys remember, if you read it, Jeff Johns' Dark Side War, the New 52, he gave the Anti-Monitor a backstory and a real name. So, I mean, they still referred to him sometimes as the Anti-Monitor, but very often they call him by his real name, Mobius. So, like that kind of, that makes it a little better when you see it pop up.
Didn't he pop up in Death Metal a couple of years ago? Dark Knight's Death Metal, whatever that was called. Anti-Monitor.
I don't recall if he was in that. I just remember from the Dark Side War, Anti-Monitor and Dark Side kind of came to head.
Well, the Monitor's name is Mar Novo, right? Like they never really.
Yeah, I mean the Anti-Monitor. I'm sorry, the Anti-Monitor.
Yeah. So.
Whose name they used in the CW crossover.
They did, yeah. They used Mar Novo,
yeah. Got that right. I give them credit. They did a pretty good job with that. They really did.
Yeah, they did. For what they were doing and what they had to do, and the budget, right? Yeah, they did it. So, so we move on to we get a scene of John Constantine hanging out.
I forgotten about that.
I was thinking about you guys when I read that. Especially James, I know you're a big fan of Swamp Thing.
I was like, this probably ties into like they loosely tie in. Well, Alan Moore's Swamp Thing run. They have like an issue where Swamp Thing's on the satellite for an issue.
This is during the saga of the Swamp Thing run. Yes.
Yeah.
James, did you know who Steve Dayton was when you?
No, I still really don't even know Steve.
Okay.
Steve
Do you know who he is, Keith?
It sounds so familiar. I almost Googled it when I was reading. I just didn't want to stop.
Well, he's the world's 5th richest man.
That's it.
Yes, and he was intricately a part of the Silver Age Doom Patrol. Not the beginning, but in the middle. And he was the foster father of Beast Boy.
Yes. Okay.
All right. Yeah, so I figured all this stuff with John Constantine and the Swamp Thing stuff was like it's either being pulled in from Alan Moore's run or Alan Moore had to make reference to it in his run. Because I don't know how much of a team player Alan Moore was back then. I figured the Swamp Thing stuff was like obligatory, or it was like, Marv Wolfman and was just pulling. It's like, well, Swamp Thing's in this universe. We got to have him somewhere in Crisis. So
it's just funny how Constantine does not resemble any kind of Constantine, that we know. I mean, I read the Alan Moore Swamp Thing run a while ago, so I get that maybe the character's been changed a lot over the years. Maybe darker and more cynical, but it just seemed like a very generic character in Crisis. Like look at this guy is smoking a cigarette and I don't know.
Yes, he did. He did have the cigarette.
Well, I wonder, like,
well dressed.
Yeah, that's what I meant. He seemed like more like a aristocrat or something.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder at this point how much Constantine has been in Swamp Thing at this point, because he's a very new character. Like he was only in it like a few cameos until they did to that middle part of Moore's run where they went into like I guess I don't remember the specific storyline, but when Swamp Thing fights the Great Darkness or the Coming Darkness, that's when he becomes more fleshed out. So maybe this is all Marv Wolfman had to go on. He's a guy who dresses in suits and smokes a cigarette. This is
probably gave like a one sheet basic info kind of
Can you see Marv Wolfman calling up Alan Moore? Hey, what did this Constantine character? You know what? I think Alan Moore would have probably liked this book, because Alan Moore he loved DC characters. He loved comic books, and when you look at his stories, they're very grand. They're very big. It's a lot of characters. I
mean, he wrote so much stuff. I think we always look at Alan Moore, unfortunately, through the lens of the later years of Alan Moore. I had to imagine when he was doing this as a younger man, he wrote so much of it. He must have enjoyed it. Like, he wrote so much superhero stuff. Like, I know now he doesn't speak kindly of that stuff, but he must have enjoyed it at the time because he wrote so much.
I think he did. Yeah, I really do.
So yeah, I agree. I definitely agree.
Well, Joe, you're gonna have to, or Keith, you'll have to inform me, because we go to the next page, and now I'm seeing Lord Volt. I know nothing about Lord Volt.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Joe. Weren't they corrected for Crisis? Weren't they created for Crisis? The whole
I believe so, because when I saw Lord Volt, I was saying, "What the heck?" And then when Lady Quark shows up, oh, that's where Lady Quark comes from. Okay, so I knew
I do like the whole concept where this is the Earth. There's no duplicates on this Earth.
Right.
This is just strictly,
a royal family protecting the Earth. Yeah.
Yeah, basically. In a way, I guess it's somewhat similar to the whole idea of Darkseid not having a duplicate either. He's the only one. It very much I don't think that much put into these characters, because there really is meant to be killed so Lady Quark can come. And,
they're a plot device, yes.
yeah. But George Perez makes everything look nice, so you're still in it. You're looking at it. That's beautiful.
Oh yeah, the layout. You definitely know how to read this book. George Perez's storytelling. You're not questioning which panel should I read first or where should I look. Like, he definitely always knows how to tell a story. Pry actually looks pretty cool when he wraps his cloak around Quark. Like, he actually looks like a cool character for that page.
I like when they do the thing where they kind of darken his face. You see his eyes with the cloak in some panels. Yeah. I like that a lot.
Yeah, that was a good choice too.
He's not like spectre-y. Like his eyes are almost like giant and kind of like sadness to him. I don't know.
You know what, Keith? I'm looking at it right now, and you're right. He is a very sad character, because he's destined to be at all these horrible endings of civilizations, and to see millions die every time he's there. So,
we find out this issue it was the regular Monitor, who basically cursed him with that. I gotta say, Dr. Light, huh? I mean, she is quite. I forgot how mean she was.
What I don't want to say it. I won't say it, but I mean, what a piece of work she is, man.
Her dad. Whooping to the employees. When she talked to her dad, she's like, "I thought my mom left you."
But she's so interested in what's going on that she can't divorce her scientific curiosity from the mortality, the terror that's happening around her.
Was it ever said why she? I don't not her, but like creator-wise, whoever created her, why they made a new Dr. Light? Like, why did they give her a villain's MO? And I'm kind of just wondering, like, is that ever talked about anywhere, or given like a? I don't know. I'm just kind of curious why they picked Dr. Light of all characters to make a villain with a character with a pivotal story point in this book. I don't know. It's kind of an odd choice, I thought. Like, why not create someone new or maybe a heroic mantle? Because Dr. Light's pretty odd, no? I mean, for that.
Well, he was the butt of jokes for many, many years. Starting he started out as a Justice League of America villain, and they beat him a couple of times. And then after that, he decided, well, I can't take on the whole group. I'll go after them individually. The Atom, Hawkman, whomever. And every time they cleaned his clock. And by the time we got to the Bronze Age, he was kind of like that, doormat villain. He was, and he knew it. And they started having him have those doubts. So I think that's why they created a new character, just because they like the name Dr. Light. They like the power set, and she obviously gets the power set to the nth degree.
Maybe that's why they made her so strong-willed.
Yes, I believe so. Yeah,
I like the design. The design's cool too.
Oh, it's
the
cool
new Dr.
design,
Light suit.
Oh, I love her suit.
Oh, okay.
And I actually, I liked her more in immediately after the Justice League book after this. She wasn't in there long, so I didn't get why they did that, but I liked her there. I thought she actually had her character it really played well off the other characters because there was no one else like her on the team.
Yeah, yeah. No, she's an interesting character, and yeah, unique choice. I mean, I'm sure if Marv Wolfman ever. I guess we'll have to look to see if Marv Wolfman ever had commentary on why he chose to like create a new Doctor Light. But maybe he was just
Yeah.
like, they did. I mean, in these 3 issues, again, spoilers. Everything's spoilers, audience. But we end with a new Black Wildcat too, or new
Yolanda Montez. Yes.
Yeah, so they're definitely creating new characters as we go to, I guess, populate the future DC universe that we're going to inhabit when this is all over. So
It was kind of like a first where it was happening so much. You know what I mean? I like Yolanda. I wish she had a longer run, but she's back now in the main comics. So that's nice.
Yeah, she's a cool look too.
I mean, she had a great look.
Yeah,
the hair with that costume like really does something. I like that look a lot.
George Perez knocking out of the park. I don't know if he made the character. I'm assuming he made the character choices and the designs for these costumes.
Probably, right?
I think so.
I mean, and obviously costumes that he creates, they stick. He was great.
They're timeless. They really are. Then we get the page where we see the Monitor and the Psycho Pirate. Speaking about what he's going to do to the Red Tornado. At this point, we don't know that he has Flash a captive, also, right? Yeah, that comes.
Oh well, we assume it just because.
He
disappeared the last issue, and I think he refers in this issue or the next about having another prisoner from Earth or something.
Yeah, this is good. I mean, again, more context to what Psycho Pirate can do, and getting a little bit more of the machinations of what the Anti-Monitor wants to do with everything.
And the Psycho Pirate is a very good example of be careful what you wish for, you might get it, because he wants emotion, right? And when he gets that in the next issue, I believe it's the next issue, he's when he's getting all the emotions from those other three worlds, it's too much for him, and he's pleading with the Anti-Monitor to save him from that. But hey, it's what you wanted, buddy. You got what you wanted. Shut up. So
And then we end up in after that scene, we're in Arthurian times, right? We got
Shining Knight,
and Vandal Savage, Vandal Savage,
and Firestorm can't get over why is Killer Frost being so nice to him.
How funny is it though? Like whenever I see these two in the Crisis book, I just always think of the Flash show with Caitlin and Ronnie.
Yes, that's what I think of too.
Yeah.
That's what I think of as well. Yeah.
Yeah, they should have continued that.
I love them in the show.
Oh, that was wrong to what they did to poor Ronnie in that.
Yeah. Did they do that? Did they move him to like the other show? Is that why? Did he go to Challengers or something like Challengers?
No. Jackson becomes Firestorm.
Okay. Oh, I think the guy who played Ronnie got like another show on like
That's
Prime
what I think too. Yeah, they had to write Fire.
Well, it's Stephen Amell's cousin. You think it's his younger brother because they look alike.
Oh wow!
It's incredible how much they look alike. Yeah.
I liked his Firestorm a lot. Like I liked the whole thing. I like Stein. It was great. And I liked him and Caitlin together.
It was just amazing that they did Firestorm properly on the Flash. It was just amazing.
One of the few guys they got right. Yeah.
Like they committed to the two people in one body. They even gave him sort of a look close to his suit when he finally was all suited up. It's just amazing because Firestorm, he's more like a B-list. He was not a C-list like DC character, is he?
At this point, he was maybe a B- list character. He had been around for a while, about 10 years at this point. He'd been a member of the Justice League. He had some pretty good artists working on him at different times. And his book ran, I think, well over 100 issues.
Yeah, I don't recall, but it was definitely close. It was definitely, I know, well in the 80s. I remember.
I remember the 100th issue. I do remember. It was square bound,
I loved that book for a while. I loved it from especially when John Ostrander picked it up. Great book. Yeah. Underrated character. I feel like I feel like it's, I don't know. I feel like he could even, with the right creative team, he could probably get a movie,
And he had a Stan Lee secret identity name: Ronnie Raymond, Peter Parker, Richard Rider, Bruce Banner. I mean, Reed Richards. It goes on and on and on.
And then we move into what we have: the Tower and we have some of the anti-monitors, dark shadows trying to take it over.
Yep.
And the hero is trying to defend it, and then we see the new Dr. Light.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm looking at it right. It's a great. This issue was inked by Mike DiCarlo. The first issue was inked by Dick Giordano, and I think DiCarlo's inks are similar to Giordano. When we get to issues, the next two issues, I really want to talk about the inker because Keith knows how much I think about that guy, Jerry Ordway, and Keith is also a big fan of Jerry Ordway.
Oh God, yeah.
But she's looking good here. I'm looking at her on her first reveal. She looks great in that costume.
Yeah, it's a beautiful suit that George Perez designed, and so this is like the void is coming, and what people are trying to what is it? We have Star Sapphire is trying to protect someone from going into the void,
right.
and then Superman shows up.
Yeah, we finally get Superman. Right? Yeah.
And we see some of the outsiders.
That's right.
Yes, that's right. We see some of the outsiders. Yep.
What's her name? Is that Halo with the color, the blonde hair with the little colored stripes? And
that's
Halo.
I don't
know, maybe it's because I was younger and I didn't really read a lot of outsiders when I was younger, but I read some, and I remember seeing the covers in the comic book store. I don't know. I loved her look too. I like the whole team's look, honestly.
Yeah, there's Cole, the girl with the very ornate costume, standing in front of Batman. She's a new Teen Titan, and Halo was created for the Batman and the Outsiders, along with Catania, right? I believe that's when Catania first appeared. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Was Geoforce created for that?
Yeah, I think you're right. Yes, I mean, that's Mike Barr. He was really rolling with that book, creating new characters.
And he kind of connected with Marv Wolfman about making Geoforce related to Terra, right?
That's right. Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh yeah, they were really cooking on all cylinders. Well, this is 1980s, the best era. I think the best decade for comic books. Both companies, both the big two.
Yeah,
so much iconic stuff came from right around here.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah.
Then we have this it's intercut, this scene in the city with anti-matter wave coming, intercut with the scenes of the Monitor and Pariah, where Pariah's I guess asking the Monitor, why am I doing what's going on, and why do I have to see all of it? And
well, this is it, right? This is this the last issue said when it said to be continued. This is the end of the world.
This is the end of the world. Yeah. This is literally the end of the world. Yeah.
You know what this issue made me think of? The end of this issue. What was it? Issue 11 of Secret Wars when they all get destroyed.
Oh right. Yeah.
And that was a year prior, so maybe Marv was thinking along those lines. Only this is on a grander scale, obviously, where Earths 1 and 2 just blink out of existence.
I gotta reread Secret War. I haven't read that in 30 years, and I didn't read. I barely remember. It'd be a new thing to me.
Yeah, we got the end of the world, and then we have the death of the Monitor, which he knew was coming the whole time.
Oh yeah, that had already been foreshadowed.
That's when you know something's good, though. When you know it's coming, and it's still, I don't know, it's still very impactful. It's still a very cool moment. You just feel for Lila too,
Oh.
She's struggling with it, and we knew it was coming from issue 1, right? When she was when she got taken over, that.
Because when she split herself up, one of her bodies was infested by one of the dark things. Yeah, on the page just before we see the that 5-panel vertical grid of the worlds disappearing, we see all the other heroes, and there's a little panel there with there's John Stewart, but right next to him is the Trigger Twins. I didn't realize that. Yeah, that's cowboy heroes from.
Oh yeah, I see them. Yep.
Okay.
They were twin brothers, and they would often confuse the hell out of everybody in town to bring in the bad guys. Yeah.
The dedication on both these guys' parts to put in every cameo we can possibly put in from the DC universe is amazing.
I'll tell you, I know we discussed it last time, but to me, I when I first read it, I didn't know any characters really, and the second, third time I read it, 20, 30 years ago, whatever, I knew more and more as I read stuff. But even reading it this time, I didn't know really much at all about the Legion. So reading this time, I'm like, Starman, this one, that one.
Yeah, right.
I'm also not a big Legion expert by any means, but it just my enjoyment goes up each time.
In recording Mea Culpa, that's not the Trigger Twins. The guy behind him is definitely That's Jonah Hex. If you look really
you
close,
can see he's got
you
like
can
a
see
messed
the
up
eye and
mouth.
also the hat. But I love whenever I see the Western heroes, and then there's a panel down where we see one of that's not Sergeant Rock, that's one of his Easy Company guys standing next to Geoforce. So when I see Western and war heroes in these books, I just I geek out. Totally.
And then we have the end of the world.
Yeah,
And
it's beautifully done. That last page. It's just like, right? I mean, look at that. It's just, you don't need any sound effects. You don't need any words. It's all building towards that, and you realize what's happening. How oh my God, they're gone.
I ask you guys, like, I mean, I feel like it might be a combination of a few things, but when I was, even the first few pages of this issue, like we said before with Supergirl and Batgirl, I feel like even reading it now, not just then, but even reading it now, like I really felt like a real like sense of dread, like going into it, of like really real stakes. You know what I mean? More than like you kind of feel, a lot of times when reading comics. I wonder, is that just because we're so used to like things being reversed, dead characters coming back a million times, this and that, or a billion crises, stuff like that, or maybe when I don't know, like I feel like what do you think that's? I don't know if you felt the same way, or like what do you think
yeah,
that's about?
when I read this 40 years ago, yes, because remember at this point we didn't have too many quote unquote deaths in comic books that stuck. The big one was about 12 or 13 years prior when they killed off Gwen, and that just shocked everybody. That to me, that's still the most shocking comic book death of all time, I think. And there was a few between then and this, but this was not a death of one. This was the entire Earth 1 and Earth 2, something that we had been completely, connected to since the early 60s.
It just felt like real change, and even reading it now, it does because we know it was real change for a very long time. And the things still aren't the same. You know what I mean? Like in a lot of ways. So maybe that's it. I just even rereading it now, I'm like, oh my God, like I still feel like it's like, oh, this is it. I mean, yeah, we see versions of these characters later, but like the Supergirl we have now isn't really the same exact one then, and it's I don't know. This book still has a lot of weight for me.
Oh, very
I
much
agree.
so. Very much so.
I mean, now that I know more about the DC universe from when I first read it till reading it this time, like I understand the characters more, and yeah, I mean it's the foundation for all the other crises that have come, and it is changing because every, as you were just pointing out, Keith, I think every crisis is trying to either get back to this or get back to what happened before this, and they haven't quite haven't quite had a crisis that's like reset things or undone things the way this crisis did. So.
The only one that came close was Infinite Crisis. So they came close. The rest of it is kind of like,
But I think with everything after these, after this event though, it's like old hat to have something happen in the universe. I mean, DC's done it 3 times already. This crisis, another crisis, and another crisis. So
I also feel like a part of it is, and Joe and I have spoken about it before. The problem with having stakes or weight to the other crises is that they never let the new multiverse settle long enough and tell stories out of there long enough. So when it happens again, you don't really care about these worlds that might die or do die because you're like, they were around for like 2 years and you didn't even tell any stories with them. You just saw them in the background when they were showing the new multiverse. So that might be like these characters, like, you read, or people read, I didn't, but at the time at least, people read years of, Captain Marvel and that universe and, the Charleston heroes and this and that. And like, it really felt like you knew them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's a part of it. But this book still, to me, always will be like, kind of like the bar.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
This was your first book, right? Issue number 8.
Yeah, number 8. Yeah.
Love it. It's amazing.
Probably the only issue that's a quick read, by the way.
Yeah, it's a good point. I didn't think of that. You're right.
The rest, you're like, all right, I got to get a snack.
Well, before we jump into issue 5, just for audience at home, you should take a look at the cover. Another like George Perez, like I think it's like almost every face you could possibly think of in the DC universe is there.
Love it.
Yeah, right. Look at that. That's great.
So
it's just like his work. It's like Alex Ross, Jim Lee. It's like so many different artists out there where you just like stare at it for so long. Another reason why it takes you forever to read an issue.
Yeah, I just I marvel at the fact of like how long did this take him to draw?
Notice down the middle it's split. It starts up at the top with the Flash, and there's Superman, there's a Hawkman, a Wonder Woman, then there's a Green Lantern, there's 2 Green Arrows, Yeah, it's that's interesting when he did that.
Yeah.
There's Jonah Hex. He's in the left, bottom left.
Yep.
Yeah, he looks great.
I think he's next to Gorilla Grodd.
Swamp Thing's in there, and
Swamp Thing, Phantom Stranger's in there.
Is that Grodd? Yeah, that's Grodd.
Blue
right?
Devil. Blue Devil is in there. Yeah. Oh, Johnny Thunderbolt, Northwind. Yeah, next to each other, right? Yeah. No, that looks like Raven at the bottom.
It's Sargon the Sorcerer or something like that.
yeah, Sargon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been around for a long time, and for a while, I believe in the late Silver Age, they made him a villain. Actually he was kind of like a minor Flash villain, a Barry Allen villain for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple of stories that he gave Barry a hard time, but then he was redeemed. I don't know how or why.
Yeah, I don't recall either. I haven't read like any Silver Age Flash in a very long time. Like very long time.
He gets killed in Swamp Thing.
Sargon?
Oh, yes.
In Alan Moore's run?
Alan Moore kills him when there's John Constantine pulls together the first Justice League Dark, basically.
Oh, I didn't remember
and,
that.
And he's holding the hands at the table while they're all supposed to be channeling their energy into Swamp Thing, who's in like the astral plane fighting the darkness that's coming, and Sargon, the powers improperly channeled through him. So yeah, he dies in that run. So
I gotta reread Swamp Things. I really gotta just do it one day. You got so many things you want to reread.
All right, so we're back with the Psycho Pirate, I guess, is trying, and the Red Tornado.
Mm-hmm. And then we see what's happening. The monitor's explaining. Well, that's Lila, right? That's not as she looks human again at that point, right?
Yeah, she's back to being Lila.
Right, she's back to being Lila, and she
kind of a recap.
Yep.
Yeah, there's kind of a recap at this point. Kind of this showing you, what happened with Lila. Her and Pariah panicking a lot in this scene. They both need to make cut back on the coffee, but.
Alexander Luthor shows up,
fully grown now with his very huge mane of red hair.
Yeah.
That's right. He would have to have red hair. It's a Luthor.
I'll tell you, it was a George Perez thing. He liked, was Donna Troy's husband had the big bright red hair.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And and Alexander Luthor. I know that Jericho didn't have red hair, but he had a very similar kind of hair thing.
Yeah. These are they're all like hair metal bands of the 80s. They're like
Roy Harper has a redhead, right?
Yeah. But his hair was like more normal, not normal, like more less unusual for the I guess for the time, like James said, it was pretty it was usual. This is where we actually see a version of the Flash that isn't phasing in and out of time and kind of giving cryptic clues of what's going on. This is when you see basically the Anti-Monitor tell Psycho Pirate have fun and play with Barry and mess with his emotions.
Yeah, you can see at the bottom of the page, Barry is just quivering with fear and terrified. Yeah, he is. Yeah. And then at the top of the next page, there's my girl, Lana Lang.
Yep.
That's when she worked for WGBS. She was the co-anchor with the nightly news with Clark Kent in those days before Clark went back to being a reporter. So
this page is fantastic. You got a dinosaur.
Yep, right.
you got buildings. You got spaceships. You got Neanderthals. Running around. You have vintage shit. George Perez put everything into this page.
This is why I love superhero comic books. You don't get this anywhere else.
No. Well, this is happening because all time and space is now existing at simultaneously.
The worlds are merging now.
Worlds are merging, right?
You got that small panel there where Sinestro and Sergeant Rocker together.
Yeah. In the right. Yeah.
Yep. Great, and Nucleon before he became Atom Smasher.
Oh, this is a great.
Thank God.
Got pterodactyls in the sky.
I like the Atom Smasher look much more.
Got biplanes, pterodactyls. Horse-drawn cart from the 1870s.
And a spaceship flying down, towards the bottom. Yeah. Really, beautiful work. And you throw a dinosaur in anything like that, it's great.
So at this point, basically, the worlds are merging. This is what the Monitor wanted. He wants the two worlds to merge. Is what he's. But if they merge completely right now, they'll destroy each other. Is that correct?
Yeah. They have to find a solution and get him out of this this little pocket universe. It's like his essence, his energy. This universe where he was able to hide temporarily for safety the two Earths, the Earth 1 and Earth 2.
Yeah, because at the beginning, the Anti-Monitor is saying, "Well, how come I didn't get the energy from that release?" and he doesn't
He
know.
hasn't realized quite yet. He does in a few pages. I feel like
Yeah,
he hasn't realized quite yet what the Monitor did. He bought them a little bit of time.
So that was the whole plan, though, was his death would be the fuel
yeah.
to continue this pocket universe, but he'd have to leave it up to Alexander Luthor and everyone else to figure out a solution.
Yep.
Before they merge and destroy each other. So
and gave he passed the baton pretty early. Still 8 issues left, right?
Yeah,
he certainly did. You're right. That's a good point. I didn't think of that. Yeah.
And then we have the classic this page, which is amazing.
The double page spread. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love that.
That's amazing. I started counting and I gave up. how many heroes are there? But you've got Harbinger, Alexander Luthor, and Pariah explaining to the heroes what happened and what's going to happen if they don't, if they can't figure it out. And Superman is still holding on to what's her name, Dawnstar.
Joe, that's the Silent Knight, the guy on the horse, or the Shining Knight?
Shining Knight. That's the Shining Knight.
Because I always forget. This is like disappoint myself here because I'm a huge Hawkman fan, and I know Jeff Johns retroactively made another one of those Knight characters, one of Hawkman's past lives. Who was that again? The other Knight?
Oh, Nighthawk.
No, that's the cowboy version.
That's the cowboy. Yeah, Nighthawk. Yeah.
But there's actually another Knight. Oh my God, that's gonna come to me later. I'm gonna kick myself. Yeah, because this is Justin. He's around in like current times too in the books. The other Knight, I'll look it up later if I can't think of it. But
yeah, I see.
That Knight was in Brave and the Bold.
There's Amazing Man in the bottom right on page 8. He was created by Roy Thomas in the All-Star Squadron comic book. The Hawks are there. I think that's is that Plasmus? Standing right below Power Girl, or is that that's Plasmus from there's Ragman.
I like that George Perez doesn't skimp. He puts all of Easy Company in there.
Yeah, they're all there. Yep, Ice Cream Soldier, what's the big guy? Yeah, they're all in there. Yep.
I listened to an interview with Mark Waid recently, and Jeff listened to this particular one before, and he was talking about how great it was to work with George Perez, and how similar it is to working with Dan Mora in the sense where he would give a script to George Perez and, say like, you need these characters in this scene or whatever. And George Perez would just turn back like pages that had like a billion more characters there. He was trying to be nice and not give him a million characters to draw. And George always just, guy, I'm talking about like a work ethic. He just really wanted, he said sometimes he would do it to the degree where he had to like change parts of the story because like now like he just had to, like the inclusion of certain characters there meant he had to address it somehow now.
Yeah. Well, I just realized you got you got 3 stretchy guys. You got Elongated Man, Mercury from the Metal Men, and of course Plastic Man.
Yeah.
And they the way he draws that, they kind of like almost encircle everybody, so your eye follows them around.
Yep.
The double page spread. See how that's laid out. Wow. That's really cool.
So now we have to, as we move on, they basically, the Harbinger and Alexander Luthor and Pariah are telling them that the Earths are merging, and it seems like the heroes don't believe it. So right. they're allowed to go in groups back to these Earths and see what's happening.
Just so you know, before I a little pause before I forget, just to let you guys know if something you might be interested in. I believe it's June. DC is putting out variant covers for a lot of their books. George Perez cover has taken some of his old art, and it was art used before. It wasn't like they're taking something he wasn't, paid for. When I forgot what the art's from. You probably know a lot of it, but like a lot of the main characters have these beautiful George Perez like variant covers. I'm definitely getting some of them.
That I have them inside. I should have brought them out for this, but. There was a series of, around this time, there was a series of postcards that were produced for the entire Justice League of America at that present time, the Satellite League, as it was called back in those days. And George Perez did and I saw the cover with Superman, and that's exactly the one that's on that one.
I think you're right. I think that's what it is, because honestly, like there is one of the JLA, the Satellite years, like which I've seen this image a million times, not a million times, but I've seen it before. I'm definitely going to get some of those though, because I just love his work, but.
Next page here, we are learning that the crisis is not just happening on Earth, but it's happening across the universe.
Yeah, what's left of it. Yeah, exactly.
See some of Infinity Inc. You have Obsidian, who I love. I love that look. He's got like one of the coolest costumes. Jade.
Okay, I'm on page 12 in that panel that's right below the three grid of Alexander and Harbinger. I see uh, Blue Devil, the cowboy with the hat and the boutonniere. That's Batlash. There's Orm, Aquaman's half brother in the background, Ocean Master.
Also, you see that George had to keep up with what was going on in the books at the time. He has on the page before that, he's got Ray Palmer wearing his Sword of the Atom costume.
That's right.
Yes, yeah. And I also like this. We have Alan Scott and Jon Stewart talking to each other.
Love it.
That was great. That was a great little panel there.
It's a great battle. It's like, I don't know. That's like, I remember, it's like my childhood. I remember that panel so well. I remember thinking, I'm like, who's the blonde Green Lantern?
Really? Yeah, right. And then the panel next to the two Green Lanterns at the bottom of 11, there's Pariah speaking to a group of heroes, and the guy right in front of him is Vibe from the Detroit Justice League.
Right, Vibe.
And there's Jonah Hex in the background, and there's Stripesy.
There's Stripesy from Stars and Stripe.
Yeah, exactly.
I have to finish that show.
That white boot with the pink pant leg, that's Brainiac 5.
Yeah. And above and to the right, that's with the Silver Scarab, that's Hawkman's son.
Hawkman's son, right? Hector Hall, yeah. Oh, and there's Wonder Woman's daughter.
And then the next page is we got the Green Lanterns hoping that they can do something to save the universe, and
easily dispatched though, along with the Guardians, right? Yeah.
Along with the Guardians, yep.
Gotta take the Guardians and the Green Lanterns off the board, because their power when they're together is so immense.
So what's destroying them here, though? What's just taking out the Green Lanterns and the Guardians? Did they say here?
Exactly sure. I don't know what they say.
No, I don't think they reveal that yet. No.
Yeah, that may be later on. Yeah.
And that's Aricia, and that the purplish woman is Jon Stewart's wife. Maybe not yet, but she will be. Katmatu.
Yeah, Katmatu. And there's
the bird guy.
Oh, is that Chip? The in the background there, the little guy.
Yep, Chip. Yeah, the little squirrel.
Oh, and then the next page we see, because you're wondering, there's all this timey-wimey stuff going on. Where the hell is Rip Hunter? And there's Rip Hunter and his crew lost in time.
Well, I like that whole. You have Superman knocking out a saber-toothed tiger, and then is it Lois Lane who's coming over to him, or?
Yep.
And it's not her Superman.
Not her Superman. She looks about over her shoulder. Oh, there's my Superman. That's right, Lois. That's cool.
And then we have the bottom. The Wayne Manor has the cave people we met in a couple of issues ago.
Anthros people. The Anthros tribe.
That's right. Yes. You had to explain that to me, Joe, because I didn't read any of those stories.
Rip Hunter.
Yes, Rip Hunter's there. They're trapped in their time sphere. They're in the center of it, as he says. Not much they can do. Corky and the other two guys. Rip Hunter, Corky, and I forget the other two names of the girl and the other guy. But we know that Rip Hunter.
Many years later, we'll find out that Rip Hunter is the son of Booster Gold.
Yeah, that's kind of cool, man. I love that. If they ever do that Booster Gold TV series, they gotta really do that story. Because that would be a great story.
His rumor is that he's going to get a new ongoing series.
Booster?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're getting the Legion of Superheroes. We've got the JLU. We got the JSA. We're getting Superboy. This leaves for me. Just all it leaves for me now is is the Metal Man. I need the Metal Man. I gotta have the Metal Man. So where are we going next? Now we got the transformation of the Red Tornado into his elemental force, right?
Well, more dinosaurs.
And more dinosaurs.
Or the same dinosaur.
Probably the same. Well, yeah. Yeah, there's that. The Russian superhero was the original Starflyer.
Yeah, so now we have the Flash is scared, and Psycho Pirate and the Manta Monitor turning the Red Tornado into an elemental force,
which he unleashes on the different Earths, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
And there's that great panel, full panel progression on the top of page 20 with the magic wielders. Zatanna, Thunderbolt, Sargon, and Dr. Fate.
Yeah, that's really nice.
That's a beautiful panel. Yeah.
That's
They're all
really
trying
nice.
to contain contain the lightning and the thunder.
I like that Zatanna look. It's a cool costume. Got Jay Garrick there, representing, and Johnny Quick.
Yeah,
That's right.
they're
That's
all
right.
there.
Yes, that's quick. Quick could fly. Minimally he could fly. He could get up to
Yeah.
speed and he could leap. Yeah, he wasn't a true flyer, but he could get off the ground.
And this is where Wildcat loses his legs, or his legs
Mhm.
become.
I completely forgotten that. I completely
Very-
forgotten that Yolanda Montez is introduced here, and that because I know she eventually becomes a new Wildcat, but I forgot how that happened. It happened during the crisis. Yeah, I was just you're not this morning. So, that's how it happened. I'm just checking things off as we go along here, and then of course as we get to the end, we get the big reveal, right?
The big scary, big bad. Oh my God.
Well, before we get to there, we have what the anti-monitor is pulling the satellite apart.
Yep.
All right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's falling apart.
And the heroes have stopped the red tornado. Wildcat is injured, and everyone's like, I guess, reaching out to Harbingers, like, we believe you.
Yeah. It took all that, right? Like
We got
everything
my phone
happened
call now.
before.
We're ready.
Everything happened before wasn't, pardon the pun here, a harbinger to come. Now they believe her, right? I mean, it's like, come on, guys.
I will say really quick, we have to kind of acknowledge that that's probably the worst Hawkman costume designs ever. That cowl mask on Hawkman does not work.
No.
Yeah, they did that to him in the late 40s. They took the wings off and they just threw the skull cap on him.
Yeah, no good.
I guess I don't know if Kubert was still drawing him then. It might have been a different artist who wanted to draw the wings. So, but Joe Kubert started drawing Hawkman in the 40s, and it looks great. I've seen some of those Hawkman stories, and they're beautiful.
Also, you guys, like James, you're an artist, so, like you can speak to this, but I love. It was a big deal, but I just love how it looked in on the panels on page 23, when they're the scenes where they give you like an all black background and then the white text.
Yeah.
Something about it's just very that use of like that space. I don't know. It's a very interesting and very cool way to kind of tell the story. Almost make it more like ominous. I don't know.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
You got negative space being juxtaposed with the white background that the lettering is superimposed on. So yes, it pops out at you. By the way, so what they're saying seems even more important than what it really is. That's the way I read it.
No, I read that way too. Yeah, it was a great use of the how to create a void, almost give an eerie presence.
Yeah. Is that like something you think would be the colorist idea, like instructions or idea, or are the penciler or even the writer?
Yeah, I don't know who would have designed it. Yeah, all three probably. I mean, I don't know what Marv put on the page, but George, however he interpreted was using all the negative space. And that anti-monitor design is pretty creepy looking.
That is a scary looking dude, right?
Yeah.
And he calls himself call me the monitor, not the anti-monitor, right?
Yeah.
And I had forgotten that also at this point.
Me too.
I thought, he's the anti-monitor. Well, no, he says he's the monitor. But that is a frightening looking.
Looks like a horror movie character.
Yeah. I like this look a lot better than the look he has to take later after Supergirl kicks his butt.
Oh, yeah. And he doesn't have a big M on his chest or his belt buckle like Galactus has a big G.
Or Apocalypse had the big A on his belt.
Yeah, that's right. Come on, guys. No.
So funny. That's a beautiful last page. It's scary,
Yeah. And then there, everyone's heading into the Freedom Fighters are heading into the void. And then issue 6, that's a scary cover too.
Very scary looking dude.
Didn't even need any dialogue on the page.
No, it's perfect. Yeah.
Or any kind of it speaks for itself.
These issues, this issue, to see the monitor reveal himself, that's inked by Ordway.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah.
Ordway inks the next issue, and I just think that Ordway's inks on George Perez are just perfect. They really are.
Yeah, it definitely it definitely is a little enhanced when you hit this issue. The art level is up a notch.
Right, there's a shine to it. There's a because I guess I don't know what kind of, you could speak to this, James, what kind of pen or did he use a brush maybe when he inked this?
Maybe. It's hard to say, but it's just very cleaner.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I mean, no disrespect to the previous inker.
No. DiCarlo and Giordano did a great job, but this is a step up, I think.
Yeah,
amazing what an inker can do,
Yeah, no, right? Exactly.
It's tighter and it's cleaner. The line work is much, I personally prefer this line work, but I'm saying the other obviously 5 issues, if not, they were great too. It's just this is a lot more enhanced look.
Okay, here comes my question to both of you guys, because as we see the double page spread where Pariah is I'm being drawn to another disaster, and we see what's going on, what the heroes now they're inside. The satellite is about to explode, but everybody's inside. Earth 1 and 2 are inside the essence of the monitor, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then Harbinger, she takes off, and she does something, and she calls upon her power, and then we see the satellite explode. So, what exactly is she doing there? Is that part of the plan? I was a little confused by that.
Well, she stops Alexander Luthor from doing it,
Right?
and it takes place with him. And I think what she's doing is like separating her, like using her energy to transport the heroes to the 2 remaining worlds. Is that what she's doing?
Save them from the exploding satellite, right?
Yeah.
That's what I thought, but I wasn't sure. Okay, all right, yeah.
Yeah, that's the impression I got too.
I like that. It's just funny for comic books, like they're bringing Wildcat with broken legs back to his apartment in his costume and not to a hospital or something.
Think about that, though. The page before is a bombastic page of utter destruction, right? And, cosmic forces colliding, yada, yada, yada. And then the next page is a broken man being carried, not to a hospital, like you said, not to an emergency room, but to his bed. It's like, we go from the ridiculous, not to the sublime, but from something that's huge to a very character moment. And there's Yolanda outside the window saying, there will be a Wildcat to continue. And I just thought that was a great juxtaposition from, to switch scenes.
No, I agree. It's great. You just make, like I said, it's just funny. His man is broken, and instead of bringing him to a medical facility, I guess in this point, there's no medical facility brought to. Both worlds are in the utter chaos.
Good point, James. All the medical facilities are completely overrun at this point, also. So
right.
I didn't think of that. You're right. Okay, and then we see the Brainiac. I never liked.
I love that.
You like that design?
That ship. I love that. That's what I grew up with.
Yeah. I grew up with the pink Brainiac with the nose on his head.
The robot, I know he's always the robot look. The Terminator looking Brainiac was the superpowers Brainiac that I grew up with.
Okay.
Me too.
Looking like the Terminator. That's what my Brainiac always looked like. And they made a toy of that, which I didn't have, but they did make a toy of Brainiac's ship.
Yeah, I remember that. I didn't have it. That was I didn't have that either.
And Luthor is dressed in his. That's how he was depicted in Superpowers as well, with the the green armor and the.
Oh, his battle suit. Yes.
The battle suit. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
He gets that again too, right before Infinite Crisis at the end of Jeff Loeb's first Superman Batman arc. He gets that back, that battle suit, the first time in since Crisis.
He gets that suit in the 40th anniversary issue of Action Comics, probably about a year before this, was it? Yeah, because it would have been 38.
Oh, really?
60, yeah, 80, yeah. I think that's where he got it. I think they did a double page square bound Action Comics where, let's see, Carrie Bates was allowed to revamp Luthor and Brainiac. And that's why the first time you get to see the Brainiac looking like this, and the first time you see that big power suit. So yeah, it's a great comic. I love that book. I pull it out periodically and read it because it's got some great Kurt Swan Murphy and some artwork in it. And then the second story, I believe, is by Gil Kane. It's just a gorgeous book to look at.
And then we have the Freedom Fighters under the control, I guess, of Psycho Pirate, right? And they're
now he's making everyone go nuts.
People are rushing towards the light, so to speak, right? And the heroes on these other worlds. We have We have Earth X, Quality Comic Heroes World. We have Earth 4, the Charlton Heroes World, and we have Earth S, the Shazam World. And I love the. I don't want to jump ahead, but I think there's some great stuff here. But when you get to the Shazam World, I just love the knockdown that Supergirl has with.
Oh yeah, me too.
With Captain Marvel. That's great. But before that, there's some good battles too.
Yeah, that's a great scene.
Yeah, there's Captain Atom. Is this the first time we see Captain Atom in the DC universe?
I believe so.
Yeah, coming out of
He's
Blue
coming
I
out
Beetle.
of
recall seeing.
the Blue Beetle ship, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So this is just utter chaos going on in all these worlds, basically with the heroes that have been transported by Harbinger off
Yeah,
the satellite.
and Judo Master and Catania, they're going at it pretty good. He's holding his own against her. Yeah. And then and then we get a little interlude with Under the Sea, and
Well, first we have the Question is hanging out with Blue Beetle.
that makes sense because they did meet in the past in the Charlton books, I believe.
Yeah, but I know this Aquaman scene was like I know nothing about Aquaman at this time, so I'm like reading. I'm like I don't know what's going on, but
well, they switched Atlantis. That's Aquaman's in the wrong Atlantis, and Laurie Lamaris is in the wrong Atlantis, and it's just and there's Ohm again, his brother, and we see Dolphin, who only appeared in one issue of Showcase. Issue, I don't know, let's throw a number out, 80, 81 maybe, I don't know, somewhere around that time, late 60s.
We see Black Canary's new costume with matching headband to match Supergirl.
Yep.
Yeah, and that epaulette thing that coming out of her shoulders, I don't know what the heck
Inspired maybe by Olivia Newton-John.
I never thought of that, but you're right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's the fight you guys were talking about. That was
what a great fight, yeah.
That's a knockout punch. She gives
it's great.
Marvel.
She pops him.
She really does. She sends him flying. And then we see the rest of the Marvel family show up to deck poor Wonder Woman. They gang up on her, Mary and Freddie. Yeah. So now Harbinger's appearing on all these worlds in this like shadowy, ghostly form, right? We see her appearing on all three worlds, and everybody knows her. What is she doing? What is she doing?
I think she's merging. She transported the heroes, and I think she's merging or trying to hold the tide right now until a solution can come up with by, which I guess at this point falls to Alexander Luthor at this point.
Yeah, and they're on that rock floating in space. How are we going to get off? But they realize that what she's done, and now she's mortal again. She's back to being.
They've used up all the monitor's power. I think at this point.
So like oh man, what are we going to do next? And the worlds, even though you saved them, for a time, this is a short-lived, success here because once they merge completely, all five worlds, they're going to destroy each other. Yeah. They can't exist in the same the same spot. So
at page 21 is a very cool image, a very cool page. I should say.
Yeah. 21, let's see. Oh yes. See them how all the worlds forming together. Yeah. And of course, what's his name? Psycho Pirate is going. Oh no! Billions of souls crying out at once. No, this guy is really.
He's getting everything he wanted. He's getting overwhelmed.
Yeah, his brain is going to get fried.
That's why he's always in Arkham after those.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's why they found him in the CW crisis, right? He was in Arkham.
Oh, that's right. He was Arkham. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good scene with Lila and Alexander Luthor
on the rock floating in space. Yeah. What's protecting them from the rigors of space? I don't know. Well, I guess Alexander Luthor is, but and then
it's such a like I said, a unique way to end the book. We have all this epic destruction. We're going to end on the new Wildcat.
Yeah. Once again, we go from the cosmic back down to the the quote unquote earthly stuff, and I think that's why he did this. He wants to keep the character moments in there. He wants to throw all this immense cosmic stuff at you, but at the same time, remember these characters have personalities, they have motivations, and they're going to figure big into this. It's interesting. She's standing on the rooftop, and there's a water tower behind her. At this point, in the mid '80s, over at Marvel Comics, with Mr. Miller drawing Daredevil, that was one of Miller's classic motifs. Or there was always a water tower in the background. When
I thought there was a water tower in a Spider-Man comic book too.
Oh yeah, I think Miller robbed that from Ditko and Ramirez Sr. Yeah, there's more water towers in the Marvel universe than the DC universe, I think.
Yeah,
definitely.
And there's a pterodactyl in the background too, just to remind you that it's still the end.
Oh yeah, I didn't see that. Oh, you're right, Gene. Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
And there's Alexander and Lila wondering, what the hell are we going to do here? We're just floating around in space.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that wraps up our Audience, we got nostalgic, I think, just looking at the panels in this episode.
Yeah,
But the storytelling is pretty. I mean, it's still grandiose, but the story is pretty simple at this point. The Monitor was killed. Lila / Harbinger uses her powers to save the satellite from destruction by the Anti-Monitor. Transports the heroes. Tries to stop the world from merging, and now we're left with this basically utter destruction and no more Monitor. And as a tease, we have the classic issue 7 when we do our next episode on this is the death of Supergirl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The second half of Crisis is nonstop action packed craziness, like a lot more to even kind of discuss plot wise.
Yeah, these 3 issues were kind of just moving the narrative along. Not that things didn't happen that were immense and important to the story, but this was well, I guess it's,
Well, I appreciate them showing us and not just telling us. They did like it. Some seems kind of ridiculous. The heroes needed that much convincing, but it was beautiful to look at. It was beautiful to look at, and
yeah,
1000%.
And you got to see, I guess, cameos of all the heroes. I guess depending. I mean, I guess they knew they were obviously rebooting the DC universe after this, so maybe George Perez was like, all these issues we were seeing all these characters. This might be the last time we're seeing some of these characters.
Correct.
For a while.
And apparently, after this story was ended, they were going to reboot every book back to #1. But they thought better about that.
Yeah, but not every person came back from Crisis, I guess.
No,
right?
No.
There's some heroes that we saw in these pages that did not make it back, at least in the DC timeline that came after this. I'm sure everyone's been brought back at some point. At this point, but
yeah, because of all the rebooting and shenanigans going on since then.
But, I mean, I don't know where Warlord reappeared after this, but
well, right now, Keith, isn't Warlord in the current Flash run by Cy Sperria?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
okay,
gave up on 3 issues ago. Yeah.
All right, there he is.
Yeah,
okay. I stand corrected.
Warlord did not missing anything, unfortunately.
Well, before we put like a tag on this episode, is there any notes or highlights that we didn't cover that you guys want to talk about for these?
Well, I have some recommendations, but as far as I think we hit everything. I did make note when we spoke about how Jerry Ordway just, I think, takes the artwork up to another level, and I think he stays on the book for the rest of the run as the main inker, but he does have some help apparently with some of those longer offerings. I think Giordano comes back to help out thinking, and possibly DiCarlo, but Ordway is here for the long run at this point, and I think really that's where as Keith said, and now the second half, the story picks up. There's more gigantic stakes, obviously with Supergirl and the Flash, but the artwork is just, how could it get any better? But it does.
I know. It's beautiful book.
It really does. It really does. And this, the second half is it's insane, really. 7, 8, 9, and so much happens. I mean, the last 6, so much happens, and some beautiful artwork, some iconic imagery that'll be revisited for 40 years after, like in so many books, and try to be copied, here and there, and some really good stuff. It's just, it's really fun rereading Crisis, because I've wanted to for a long time, didn't have like a real reason to push me to, and I'm really enjoying it.
I'm glad you.
I'm enjoying
you did these, James. We did Secret Wars. I was glad to reread that. Now, this is fun rereading this again, and discovering things I completely forgot about, like Yolanda Montez. Like, I forgot she appeared here. Completely.
Yeah. No. This has been great. Well, any final notes or things before we wrap up?
Can I, Keith, do you have any recommendations? I have a few.
One thing I recommend right now really is, no surprise, Absolute Flash. It's awesome. It's such a good book. It's a great jumping on point. Jeff Lemire is killing it. Nick Robles' art is fantastic, and his different take on speed is different than what we usually see for speedsters. So I can't recommend it enough. Once the trades and everything are on Hoopla, James, you should definitely check it out. It's excellent.
Yeah, I look forward to it. Yeah.
I have something I want to pick up. I finally got my Silver Age. It's the entire Silver Age run of the Doom Patrol, including a crossover in the Challenges book and some Brave and the Bold issue, and it's enormous, and I love it, and it's got the great artwork in it. And then here's something I was talking to you about, Keith. I think both of you might like this. This is the first 6 issues of Space Ghost.
Oh yeah, I have
It's
to pick that
real.
up.
Oh, it's good. I read the
I heard
first
it
half.
was very good.
Very enjoyable. And since this is coming out the day that James dropped the latest Richie Garofalo episode, there it is, folks. Richie's
yes.
Okay.
the Mighty Lumberjack and the Enchanted Forest by Richie Garofalo. This is the hardcover.
Yeah, I saw that pop up today. I got to listen to that.
Yeah, it's great. That was a very good episode. So
yeah, that came out good. Yeah. I don't know. Let's see what I have to recommend. I just finished Tom Taylor's run of Nightwing. Volume 7 came out. Beautiful still. Loved it. I think that's going to be my definitive Nightwing run.
Yeah, I would suggest you don't continue with the new writer, James, because it'll ruin it for you.
Well, I mean, listen, I read that stuff that was going on in Rebirth and New 52, and it wasn't,
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay.
So,
Oh yeah,
I mean, having him be Grayson, agent of something, and then being shot in the head and losing his memory, and that
Rick Grayson, yeah, that was just
Rick Grayson, yeah. So, but
dumb.
the Tom Taylor's run is my definitive run for Nightwing. Bruno Redondo's art obviously continues to be amazing. One of my favorite artists, so that was fantastic. And now all 7 volumes are available to read the whole run. I've been going through Jed MacKay's Moon Knight. I'm on volume 4 now, so I'm almost up to Blood Hunt, so I'm excited for that. I think the art's been great, and
yeah, that's a Marvel book that gets a lot of praise by a lot of the critics. That's one of the few Marvel books that gets a lot of praise by the critics. They really
it's great. It's a good read. It's a solid read. It's pretty quick. And then, audience, we're gonna do a whole wrap up episode at this point on it. And we started with 2, but Daredevil Born Again has been.
Yeah, I'm way behind, so I got to get caught up. So don't spoil anything for me.
I'm just one behind. I got to watch the finale from last night.
Yeah, I got to watch the finale. But
yeah, I'm not even close to that.
I wanted to. I was busy and other stuff, but I didn't want to watch it too tired.
Yeah.
Oh, and Keith, could we talk a little bit about Dexter? Is it Resurrection, right?
Yeah, that's definitely another recommendation.
Here in New York City. We saw
definitely
Dexter on a subway platform.
Preemptively recommending that. I mean, it's got an amazing cast: Peter Dinklage, Uma Thurman, Neil Patrick Harris, plus some just great returning characters from the
James Remar is coming back.
Yep, and
I can't wait. Yeah.
And they've confirmed that this is not another shot at making an ending. It's made me happy. Clyde Phillips said this is the Showtime's highest rated ever franchise, and this is going to be an ongoing.
Yeah, I mean, from what I've read, it sounds like a cross between Run for Your Life and The Fugitive.
Sounds good to me. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I can't even tell you. This is I'm really excited for Michael C. Hall to come back and step into the role. Yeah, and we have Original Sin still. It's a really good time to be a Dexter fan.
All right, listening audience. Well, we got your recommendations. We're now halfway through Crisis. So next time we meet, if you want your homework, go read 7, 8, 9, which as Keith has promised, and because I can't remember the last time when I read it, is where the story hits high gear.
Oh yeah.
Already teased. In case you didn't know, spoilers, we're going to lose Supergirl. We're going to see the fate of the Flash.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll continue on with the fate of the DC universe. So I don't know which Earth we wound up on, gentlemen. So we survived the satellite.
Spinning around somewhere in the multiverse. I don't know.
I don't know if we wound up on the Shazam Earth or the Earth X, but could not have done this episode without my other host. So thank you very much, Joe.
You're welcome, James. It's always fun.
And thank you very much, Keith.
Hey, you're welcome. Thank you. Always a pleasure. It's a lot of fun.
And listening audience, hopefully if you need to, you can go to Hoopla for Crisis. You can pick up the trade, but hopefully you are reading it with us, or you're going to start reading it, because we look forward to speaking to you on the next episode.